Hey folks, today we're going to be looking at My Village, designed by Inka and Markus Brand. It's published by Eggertspiele and Pegasus Spiele, and it is for ages 12 and up. It plays in about 60 to 90 minutes. You can play 2 to 4 players. My Village is a sort of alternate take on the game Village, designed by the same designers. Village won the 2012 Kennerspiel des Jahres award, which is the connoisseur gamer award in Germany. And it is not a Village the dice game per se. We do have dice here. In fact, the advertisement says don't call it a dice game, although it is a dice pool game. What it does do a little bit differently from Village is that each player is making their own village. And we can see here, if we take a look, each player is going to have their own village board, and we're going to use dice from the pool to add cards to this board and expand our village. So I've got the game set up for a 2-player game, so let's just go ahead and jump in and start playing, and I'll explain the rules as we go. As I stated, My Village is a dice pool game, and basically what that means is that each round of the game we're going to take all of these dice into hand and we're going to roll them. And then each player in turn is going to use the dice values that we've got here in combination, so they'll do something like pick 2 dice, and some of those dice will be used to, so in this case we've got a sum of 5, will be used to activate certain cards and their abilities to take actions in the game. So for example, here we've got some cards that show 5 on them. This combination of dice that we've pulled on our turn would be able to activate these cards here because they have the 5 on it. Alternately, we could have, say, taken a 5 and a 2, and here we go, and activated these 7 cards over here. So we have basically cards all over the place with banners on them, and even banners on our board with numbers or question marks. These boards are the same except for we have slightly different numbers here and here. Otherwise, every player board's the same. But all of the banners you'll see will have numbers ranging from 2 to 12, which is the combinations that you can get when you roll 2 dice, d6s. And basically what we do is we select dice and we try to get the numbers that we need to perform the actions that we want. And the actions can basically allow us to perform things in various areas of our board. So take a quick look at the board here. There's sort of 6 main areas on the outsides of the board. We've got farming, we've got your city council, we've got the church, we've got traveler spaces, craftsman spaces, and we've got merchant spaces, and a few special spaces in the middle. But in general, what we've got here is a whole selection of cards that we can add to our village that relate to those 6 outer spaces of our board. So here, these red cards match the red space, which is the city council space. The brown cards match the brown space, the churches. There's 1 stack of yellow cards, which are the farms. All the blue roofed areas are going to match the blue section of our board. So it's all very nicely color coded. Craftsmen and travelers here in green. This configuration here of cards is what is suggested in the rulebook. It does take up a bit of space, but as the game goes on, it's something where this dwindles and the area that your boards need increases. But let's just go ahead now and basically start the first round and start playing. The game comes with these handy summary cards, and they basically just tell us what's going to happen each round and on each player's turn. So what we can see here is that on the top, it tells us at the beginning of the round, this big hand right here, which it represents the starting player, is going to put a point onto this hand. So we're going to take one of these story points here, and we're going to put it onto the hand at the beginning of the round, and then we're going to roll the dice. So we take all the dice, we pick them up, we give them a roll, and then we'll go ahead and just sort of pull them all together. We've got a 2 and a 3 and another 3. Okay, so that's all you do for the first part of the round. Then after that, we've got a player's turn, and that's what these 1, 2, and 3 phases represent here on this card. So to begin a player's turn, what they're going to do is establish a banner value, and that means selecting 2 dice and figuring out what the sum of those dice are. So value X is the banner value. So let's just say that from this pool, we selected this 3 and 2, so the banner value would be 5. If we zoom in here, we can see that in this slightly darker area, it shows some options for us. It says if we want, we can spend a coin and change any dice value up 1 or down 1. We can't cycle from 6 to 1 or 1 to 6, but we could say turn this 3 into a 4, and then instead of having a sum of 5, we'd have a sum of 6. Additionally, it says if you've used a black die, you're going to have to pay 2 time. In Village, as well as My Village, time is a currency, and we can see it on each player's board here. They've got a disc, and the disc is going to move around in a circle here, and when it crosses the top where there's a bridge, so if they move from this space to this space, someone in your village is going to die, and that's represented by the Grim Reaper that we've got here. So whenever you pass the bridge, we can take the Grim Reaper, put it by the disc to denote that at the end of the player's turn, someone's going to die. So the first thing you do, establish your banner value. The second phase of your turn is going to be basically activating banners. So a player has a choice of activating one black banner of a named value. They can activate multiple white banners, which are banners that they've added to their village, or they can activate the black question mark banner in the center of their board. So each player has one question mark banner, and that's just basically there that if you can't make a dice combination that you need, or you specifically need to take one of these 3 actions, you're going to activate that question mark banner. So the 3 actions are, I'll explain in a little bit. So in the second phase of your turn, you're doing one black banner, potentially multiple white banners, or the question mark banner. It's basically one of those 3. You don't get to do both or all 3. And then on the third phase of your turn, you're going to check to see if someone in your village needs to die. So it says, we check the Grim Reaper. And so let's say in this case that we had crossed the threshold of the bridge here, we would move the Grim Reaper onto the disc just to help us remember that the Grim Reaper had, that someone has to die. And then at the end of our turn, what we would do is we're going to move one of our people to the graveyard. So just like the original village, we've kind of got unnamed graves here, and then we've got graves relating to people of various occupations, and it's sort of like they're going into the chronicle of history, you know, a very effective abbot, or a very successful trader. And basically what we do is we play the game trying to accumulate cards from here by activating black banners, putting them into our village. Cards are worth a certain amount of points. We're also going to score story points, which I'll explain in a bit. And we play until a certain number of people have populated both of these graveyards in total. So when a total of 9 people have populated the graveyard in a 2-player game, which is what we'll be playing today, then we finish the round and we do final scoring. And that's the basic phase of a player's turn, the turn summary. And once you do those 3 phases, the play just moves to the next player. And once each player in a 2-player game has done 2 turns, the round is over, and we repeat the beginning action, which is put a point onto the starting player hand and re-roll the dice and go again, with the starting player taking the first action. So let's just go ahead and start the game off. Okay, so the red player is going to start us off, and what they're going to do is they're going to look at the dice that are available in the pool and select 2 of them. So let's go ahead and have them select these 2 3s right here. They'll pull them out of the pool. So their banner value is 6. So they're going to look up here and they're going to decide what do they want to activate with a value of 6. Well, we've got a few craftsman options for us over here. And let's see, when you're crafting, you usually want to satisfy things in the market. So when we want to craft something with a value of 6, we see we've got a few scrolls here. So let's go ahead and take this card. I'll just move these discs out of the way. And we're going to activate this one here. So this is an office. It produces scrolls, and it requires a value of 6 on its black banner to activate, plus 2 time. And then the banner sort of naturally points as an arrow downward to the things that you get. So this symbol here, with the little curvy arrow, means that you're going to take the card and you're going to flip it over, and you're going to add it to your village. And then additionally, you're going to take one of the black octagonal cylinders here and add it to the card. So we've got our dice value of 6. We've got 2 time, so we're going to take this, flip it over, and add it to our village next to the craftsman space. So when we zoom in, let's go ahead and pay the 2 time right now. So 1, 2, and then we're going to take a black shape here and put it on the office. And basically what that does is it denotes that we have 1 scroll. It's worth noting that all of these black cylinders are sort of universal markers. So when they're on our board here in this space, it basically says this is a traveler. And on this space, this is the craftsman, and here's the merchant. When it's on this space, which is sort of like your bank, it means that that's a 1 gold coin. So, and then obviously when it's over here, it's a scroll. So they basically take the place of whatever the location says it is. So in this case, we've taken a dice and made a banner value of 6. We've activated 1 black banner, which is from the craftsman area. Added it to our board, paid the 2 time, and then now in the future, if we take a white banner action with a 6, we can pay 1 time to place a cylinder down here and get another scroll. So that's it. That's the first player's turn. The blue player is up, and they're going to do something a little bit different. They're going to take the 6 and the 2. Actually, you know what? They're going to take the 6 and the 1, make a 7. So we'll just claim these. So with a 7, they're going to travel. And so what we can see here is 5 stacks of travel cards. And if we zoom in, they're labeled A, B, C, D, and E. And basically we have to start with an A card. So with activation cost of 7 banner value and 2 time, we can activate this card. Now the way that these work is, as a traveler, you don't know what's on the other side of this card. Almost all of the other cards tell you what you're going to get on the other side. So in this case, we know we're going to be able to produce horses. And over here, it tells us, oh, when I flip this over, we know this card's going to be worth 3 points. And over here, oh, these are the special abilities of this card. Well, the traveler cards, all they tell you is this is going to be worth 2, 3, or 4 points. Well, we don't know which one. So there's a little bit of mystery in your traveling in the game. So, all right, well, we've taken 7, and we're going to pay our 2 time, 1, 2, and now we're going to flip this card over and add it to our traveler's path. So in this case, it's just a normal road. Our travelers explored down the road, nothing special, which means we don't need to explain anything additional. What we do see here is that this is worth 2 points at the end of the game. And we know that they're guaranteed 2 points because this is a full book with a letter 2 in red. Now, basically that means those are guaranteed points at the end of the game. We're going to see other places where we earn points that are in this sort of brown color and they look like sort of like a page of a book. These are called story points, and they are not secure points. When you get them, they go into your story tree space, which is right here, and players then need to take an action here to secure those points. So we can see this icon here that's got a book with a page. Whenever a player is on this space of this track, we're basically activating this action just moves the player along this track back and forth, whichever direction they want to go, and they take the action of the space they land on. So if they were here on the gold coin and moved here, they would move their story points to their house and they'd be secure. They'd basically be the same as these points. So, let's go ahead and grab some just as an example. If the blue player had 3 story points on their board and they moved from here to here, they would move these points up here and they'd be secure. They'd be 3 guaranteed points at the end of the game. But up until then, they're unsecure. Well, what does that mean, unsecure? Well, basically, whenever somebody dies in this game, let's put these back. Whenever somebody dies in the game, we're going to put them into one of these graves here, and it's either a named grave or an unnamed grave. So unnamed are here, and then the profession graves are color coordinated. And then we're going to roll this rat die, and we're going to move this rat up this track here. And he starts a little bit further in a 2-player game as opposed to a 3 or 4-player game. And depending on the dice value, he moves a certain number of spaces. And if the rat lands all the way up here, well, there's a rat infestation in all of the villages, and players lose half of their story points that are unsecured in their tree, rounded down, thankfully. So there's sort of a push to try to secure your points. So this is a little preemptive to explain that part of the game, but just know that there is a difference between books with the red number, which are secure points, and these sort of brown number pages, which you need to secure to score them in the actual end game scoring. Okay, so the blue player took value 7, went traveling, and found that a somewhat less exciting journey, 2 points worth of scoring. Okay, so we're back to the red player, and they've got their craftsman who's got an office producing scrolls, but now they're going to need some customers. So what we're going to do here is fill out the customer space. And the way that we do that is a little bit different. Instead of taking these cards directly by activating these white banners, we ignore the white banners until we acquire the customer cards. And instead, what we do is we come to this office and we have to activate a 4 or a 10. And then for 1 time, we can take 1 of these cards. For 2 time, we can take 2. And then as you can see, for 2 time and a coin, 3, 3 time and a coin, we can take 4 of the 6 available customer cards there. So I think what we're going to do here is take the red player is going to make a banner value of 4. Set those aside. And then they're going to come up here and let's have them take 2 of these cards. Let's go with this one and this one. And what we'll have them do here is, actually, you know what? Let's have them take 3. All 3 of these scrolls. They've got the ability to produce scrolls, so let's go for it. So this will be very forward thinking. And what we do is we take these cards and we line them up here. So we've got 3 customers waiting for scrolls on a future turn. So coming back here, 2 time and a coin. So let's pay that really quick. 1, 2 time and a coin. Well, the starting player starts with 1 coin, which goes on their bank. It's gone. So we get rid of it. Okay, so at the end of their turn, they would have unveiled 3 more cards. So we're always going to be looking at 6 available cards here. So now the blue player gets to look and see, okay, what's available, what's needed rather. So we see some beer is needed, a couple plows, and a couple stagecoaches, or wagons rather. Coming back here to their board, they don't have any craftsmen, and we've got a 3 and a 2 available. It's always preferable to avoid these black dice because they incur the extra cost of time, which is going to mean people are going to be dying, which can sometimes be good, but in this case, we're going to avoid that. We'll activate a banner value of 5 and come in here and build a brewery. So we're going to pay an additional, we got the 5, we're going to pay the additional cost of 2 time. So 1, 2, flip this guy over, we've got a brewery, and put one of these markers on here to denote that we've already got some beer. All right, so we've got 3 black dice left. It's basically the end of the round now. And what we do is we go right into the next round. So the very first thing we do is we take one of the story points, we put it on the starting player hand, we gather all the dice up, and we re-roll them all. So I'll try to do this without having them going everywhere. Okay, I'll collect all these. So the red player is still the starting player because they have the hand here. If the blue player ever wants to become the starting player for a round, they need to activate this black banner with a 4 or a 10. When they do that, they get any of the story points that are on the hand. So each round that the starting player has not exchanged hands, it's getting more valuable, and eventually someone's going to want to take it. But in this case, red is still starting player. They take a look at the dice that are available. They see there are 2 6s here. So I think they're going to grab these and create a banner value of 12. The 12 is going to allow them to build a church up here. The 4 churches are arranged to allow you to see their special powers. Basically, this one gives you a boost to your traveling by giving you the flexibility to take not the top card off of a particular stack, but instead take the second card. This one lets you get extra customers from the market. So before you decide to take one of the cards from the market, or sorry, I guess I forget what it's called, the claims house or something like that, you get to draw an extra card and then take one of the 7 available. This lets you avoid the rat infestations, and this gives you an extra window, which counts as points towards the end of the game. So I think in this case, we're going to take this one, and we can see here it took a banner value of 12 and 3 time. So let's go ahead and pay the 3 time, 1, 2, 3, and flip this over and add it to our village. So here we've got the front of a church, and this church's benefit is that it's got a window on it. Well, what are windows and how does that work? We can see here that we've got a track that shows us how much windows are worth at the end of the game in points. So having 1 window is worth 2 points, while if you have 6 windows, you can score 20 points. You can't have more than 6 windows, so if you do reach 6, you're pretty much done in the church track for the game. So here we can see that this church is worth 4 points itself, but it's got a window, so it's really got an additional 2 points right now, so we've got 6 points for that move. To be able to add windows to our church, we have to entice these various monks to the church on future turns. So there's 3 types of monks. We've got the one with the feather quill, the one with the goblet, and the one with the rosary. And basically, they get more expensive, but they have special one-off powers that make them more sort of balanced based off of their cost. And just as an example here, if we flip this over, we'll see there's another window. We can extend our church with those. Okay, so the red player has built their church, and they've already got some extra points as a result of it. Well, the blue player would also like to build a church, but looking at the dice pool, there's no dice here that are going to allow them to get up to a value of 12 very easily. So instead, they're going to change gears, and what we're going to have them do is build, let's take this value 5, activate that, and we'll have them go ahead and build a stables. So produces horses, value 5, 2 time, let's flip it over, pay the 2 time, 1, 2, add a marker here to denote that we have a horse. And then now what we can see here is a 5, 5, and a 5 on these spaces. So if on a future turn, let's go back to the summary, instead of activating a black banner, the blue player activates white banners. Well, looking at their board, they've got 3 white banners with a value of 5. So on a future turn where they activate a banner value of 5, they could potentially do 3 actions. This one on their board lets them get 1 story point. It's called putting on play for your village. And then over here, for 1 time each, they could get another beer and another horse. So that would allow them to do 3 actions in 1 turn. So what you want to do as you acquire cards is, if you can, acquire cards that have the same banner value activation cost so that you can potentially, in your village, activate more than 1 card on your turn. Okay, so the red player sees that they've got their time marker near the bridge. That means someone is going to die soon in their village. Now, when people die, you're going to need to replace them, because if you don't have a person in one of these professions here in your village, you can't take the actions related to that profession. So the way that we can replace people who die is with the school. So each player has a school on their board, and if they activate a banner value of 3 or 11, well, they can go ahead and put somebody into the school. So what we're going to do here is have the red player put these 2 dice together, making a banner value of 3, and they can activate the school with this 3. Alternately, they could have used an 11 to do that. So what we do here is we put someone into school. So we grab one of these black markers and we put someone on the first space. Now on a future turn, when we activate the school, we can promote them to become a worker. So we can see this arrow that points up here. It costs 1 time, they become a worker, they replace somebody. Alternately, the next time we could move them over here, and then if we promote them in the future, we also get 2 story points. So here we've activated this white banner of 3 to put someone in the school. Well, taking a look at our board here, we've also got a customer that can be activated with a banner of 3. So since we're doing the white banners part of our turn, we can also fulfill this customer. So the customer banner says, with a banner value of 3, plus 1 time, plus 1 scroll, we can flip this card over and score 3 points. So that's what we're going to do. We've got 1 scroll, so let's get rid of that. And we can pay the 1 time without killing somebody yet. So yay, no one's going to die this turn. And what we do is we take this customer card, flip it over, put it down here, and we can see we've got the red book value, so that customer was worth 3 points to us at the end of the game. Well, the blue player is up, and they are going to select these last 2 white dice, avoiding the black dice again, and make a banner value of 7. Well, a 7 is going to let them travel again. Now, since they've already got a travel card of value A, they need to travel further. So the next space is B. So with a 7, let's take the top card, plus 2 time, plus either 1 horse or 2 coins, they can flip this over. Well, in their previous turn, they built a stables, so they can get rid of their horse. They can pay 2 time, so they're about to have someone die as well. And now we get to flip this over, and we can see what it is. It's 4 points, so that's pretty good. They could have been worth 5 points, but in this case, now we've got a combined total of 6 points from traveling. Well, since this was a reasonably valuable, not the weakest value of card, we've got a sort of a emblem here that shows us that the next time that we want to explore, when we want to explore to space C of traveling, we're also going to have to pay 1 barrel of beer in addition to whatever costs that are present on this card, which the C card happens to be worth 7, 2 time, and either 2 coins or a wagon. So to be able to go any further, we're also going to need some beer. So it looks like we've got beer, which is great. We definitely don't have a wagon. We do have 2 time. All right, so that was the blue player's turn, and that was the end of the round. So let's go ahead and start the next round. So what we'll do is we'll gather all the dice here, get these back. We need starting players still with red. Put 1 story point on there, and let's roll these dice. Okay, so red is still the starting player, so they're going to take a look at the dice pool here and figure out what they'd like to do. So let's go ahead and have them pull 1 black die, ooh, and this 5 die here. So they made a banner value of 11. The black die automatically costs them 2 times, so let's pay that 1, 2. We can see here we've crossed the bridge, so let's bring the Grim Reaper with us to denote that at the end of this turn, someone's going to die. So banner value of 11, what are we going to do with this? I think what we're going to do is come up here and show off what it's like to get farm fields. So we just take the top farm field card. They're all the same, so it doesn't really matter. And the 11 plus 1 time, so we'll spend 1 more time, move the Grim Reaper with him, and flip this card over. Well, what we get from it is 1 coin, so we can put that here. And then on future turn, whenever we activate the white banner value 11, for 1 time, we can also get coins. And then now you can see down here that if we have a plow from having a craftsman shop that makes plows, we can place it here. And then whenever we activate this, we would get 2 coins. So you can sort of put that together, that 11, and we can see here that the school also costs 11. You can make turns where you can make money and put people into school at the same time. All right, so that was the red player's turn. Well, it was their turn for activating banners. Almost forgot. Someone's got to die. So the third phase of their turn. What happens when someone dies? Well, the very first thing we can do is let's just go ahead and move this Grim Reaper back here because we're about to do this. Someone's going to die. Let's pick someone. So let's have the Traveler die. So the red player knows, I'm probably not going to focus on traveling in this game, but they can see that the blue player is. So they're going to kill their Traveler, and they're going to take this space here, and we can see that this space gives them 2 story points by putting their traveler in there. So they'll come over here, grab 2 story points, put them on their tree, and now after they've retired that person, put them into a grave, they have to roll the rat die. And so both players here are kind of hoping for a low value. Let's see what we get. Oh, not a low value, a 5. Okay, so that means that the rat is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces up the track. You can see this nice little rat meeple here. Now this track is going to show us that any of the red spaces, if the rat is on a red space, that means that the next time that we roll the die, it's potentially possible for us to trigger the rat invasion and we lose our points. So it's just sort of a good way to know whether you're under threat or not the next time someone's going to die. So on a future roll, unless we roll a 1 or a 2, we're going to trigger the rat invasion. Okay, so when someone dies, retire them into a grave, roll the dice, and move the rat. We've done that. So the red player's turn is over. Okay, so the blue player knows that to travel further, they're going to either need some extra money for that C card, or they're going to need a wagon. So they look over here and they see wagons are available with values 8 and 9. Well, looking at their board, 8 or 9 isn't particularly helpful to them, so they're just going to go ahead and make one of these values. So they'll go ahead and take a 4 and a 4, make a banner value of 8, set these aside, and they'll grab this card here. So they're going to pay 2 time, 1, 2, crossing the bridge, adding the Grim Reaper, and then we flip this card over. So now they've got 3 craftsman buildings. Let's go ahead and put this marker down here. They've got a wagon, and so they're pretty well suited to make a few different goods. We can see here there are 5 columns of craftsman cards, so there are 5 goods. They right now cannot make scrolls and they cannot make plows. So if they do want to be able to make just about every item in the game, they're going to need these. It's worth noting that no player is allowed to have more than one of a particular type of craftsman office in their building or in their village. And so you just sort of have to choose which number do you want. There's 4 of each one, so in a 4-player game, each player could theoretically build all craftsmen, and that's why this takes so much space up on the table. So it's a full permutation of options each game that players can choose from. So the blue player was able to make a wagon with their wainwright, and now we move to the last phase of their turn, which is resolving the Grim Reaper. So let's take the Grim Reaper, move him past here, and let's go ahead and kill somebody off. I think what we're going to do is sort of take the abbot, and the abbot is going to die. So unfortunately, the abbot is going to sort of kick the bucket here, and we get 2 story points for that. All right, blue player is going to roll the dice, and we're hoping for a 1 or a 2, 1 or a 2. Oh, wow, we got a 1. That's pretty lucky. Okay, so the rat is only going to move 1 space, so we've avoided the invasion for now. Okay, so the red player's up. They're going to take this 3 and a 3, make a banner value of 6, and add a craftsman building to their town. I think they'll add this one, so they'll be able to make plows at the blacksmith. So we go ahead and add this here, pay the 2 time, 1, 2, and let's put a marker on there to denote we have a plow. Now, with the plow, at any time we can move it over to this farm space. So let's just go ahead and do that now. So we take the plow off of that space and we move it over here. It's worth noting that this plow can be sold to customers at any time in the future, but it cannot be moved from field to field. So now that it's in this field, it can only basically be sold from here. But the next time that we activate an 11, we can get extra coins. Well, the blue player sees an opportunity to move on this C space. It's going to cost 7 2 time and either a wagon or 2 coins. While looking at the dice pool, a 5 and a 2 will make a 7. So let's go ahead and make that banner value. Pull in this top card here. So 7 plus 2 time. Before we forget, let's pay the 2 time. 1, 2. And then either 1 wagon or 2 coins. Well, we've got a wagon, so let's get rid of that. And let's see what we got. It's either 4 points or 5 points. And it's a 5-pointer. Actually, you know what? I also forgot. We have to pay this beer, which we happen to have. And what have we found? Well, we found 5 points. Great. And this appears to be some sort of rainy, cloudy pathway. And we can see here that if we want to explore further, we're going to, and that means to the D space, from C to D, we're going to have to add 3 time to our cost to explore into the D space. So in addition, D will take 2 times, so a total of 5 and 3 coins. So we're going to need more money. But for now, we've got 5 plus 4 plus 2 is 11 points from traveling. And there we go. That's the end of the round. So let's gather all of the dice. Here we go. We need to put 1 more story point on this hand. It's starting to become somewhat valuable. 4 points over here. And let's just go ahead and roll all the dice. Okay, so the red player is our starting player again. They're going to grab this 1 and the 2 and make a value of 3. And they're going to add to their city council up here. So there are 2 types of city council buildings. There's a meeting place, which are all the same. So those can be activated with a 2 or 12. And then there are these councilman buildings, which can be activated with a 3 and quite a bit of time. So 4 time each. Well, each of these give you a special ability in the game. And you can only have 1 of each of these buildings. So I think what we're going to do in this game is go ahead and take this one. And we've got the banner value of 3. We're going to pay the 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Someone's already about to die again. And then we'll flip this over and add it to our sort of village tableau here. We take a marker, we put it down on here. And what this building does is it's the I forget what it's called, the council house or the guild house or something like that. But what it allows us to do is have any wild card resource we want for every one of these black markers that's on here. So instead of needing to build all the different types of craftsman buildings, we can pay a cost if we need it by activating this building in the future turn, or rather spending the resource. And of course we can get wildcard resources with a value of 3 on a future turn. So there we go. That was the red player. They've got someone that's going to die soon, and now it's off to the blue player. The blue player is going to take this 5 and a 6, make an 11, and add a farm field to their village. So they'll have to pay 1 time. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Here we go, 1 time, and they're going to get 1 coin. So they've now got 3 coins. That's going to unblock them from being able to go ahead and move to the next space on their traveling adventure on a future turn. Okay, so the red player is up, and they're going to also make an 11, but they're going to activate white banners instead. So here they're going to spend 1 time, move across the bridge. Someone's going to die and get 2 coins. So here we take these markers and we go ahead and put them there. They've now got 3 gold. Plus the 11 is going to allow them to move someone over here. They could have promoted someone right now, and replaced their dead traveler if they wanted to, but I think they're going to hold out for those 2 extra points on a future turn. So they've activated those 2 11 powers, and now we see that someone is going to need to die. So what we do is we can go ahead and take this. We're going to choose the councilman and put the councilman in this space over here. And it is a 2-point space. So let's go ahead and grab 2 story points, put it on their board. And then now we need to roll the rat die. Well, unless we get another 1, the invasion's happening. So let's hope for a 1. Nope, it's a 4. Okay, so we've rolled a 4. We're going to move the rat into this space here, and basically the rat doesn't move any further. We now trigger the rat invasion, and we can reset the rat back to its starting spot. All right, so each player takes a look at the story points on their tree and has to pay half of them. So the red player has 4 story points, so they have to lose 2 of them. So those 2 points they just got are gone. All right, and the blue player has 2 story points. They're going to lose 1 of them. Okay, so the blue player is up, and they have the last turn of the round. Well, what they're going to do is they're going to combine these 2 dice, create a banner value of 10. By using a black die, they need to spend 2 time. And with that banner value of 10, they're going to take starting player. So what they do is this comes over to them. They take the story points that are on there, and they claim them. So a total of 4 points on the hand. And then at the beginning of the next round, they will be able to choose from the dice first. And now it actually is the end of the round. So let's go ahead and gather all of these dice up. And then we take a story point, and we add it to the starting player hand, and we roll all of the dice. Okay, so the blue player gets first pick this round, and what they're going to do is they're going to take this 6 and this 1, make a banner value of 7, and they're going to go traveling once more. So they have to travel to this D space. The D space costs 7, which they've got, 2 time and 3 coins. Now we can also see here it's going to cost 3 extra time. So instead of 2 time, it's going to be 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Place the Grim Reaper. Someone's going to die at the end of this turn. Okay, so they also need to pay 3 coins. They happen to have all 3 of those. They get rid of that. Now we can flip this card over and see what we get. It's either 5 through 8 points. It's a 5-point card. So they would have preferred the 8-point card, but now because they don't have any additional cost to pay to go to the E space, I think they're spurred on to definitely finish and the traveling portion of the game and reach that end of the road. Okay, so now we need to resolve someone dying at the end of this turn for the blue player. And I think because they didn't quite get the result they wanted on the traveler's track, they're not going to kill their traveler. And they're still going to need to produce some goods here, so they're not going to kill this person. I think they're going to kill their councilman. Now, they're only going to get 1 point for that, but I think they'd prefer to keep the other people in their positions. So They put that person there. They take their 1 point. They've got a few story points on their tree here, so it's getting risky to hold those around. And now we need to roll the rat die and see what happens. The rat's on the starting position. Oh, 5 spaces. Wow. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the rat's already almost going to trigger another invasion on a future turn. Okay, so the red player's up. They're going to take these 2 3s here, make a 6, and do some white banner actions. They've got 3 6s on their board, so the first thing they'll do is they'll put on a play. So they'll take 1 story point, the story of the play in their village, and then they're also going to spend 1 2 time. So we'll go 1 2, and get a scroll and a plow. So we'll go ahead and take these and mark them right here on their board. Well, the blue player's up, and they see all these points hanging out on their tree here, and since the rat die was rolled with a 5, they know that the next time someone dies, these points are in jeopardy. Well, to be able to secure these points, they're going to need to move their person down this path and then back again. So that's going to take 2 turns, so they're going to start now. So they're going to activate the black banner in the center of their board, which takes any 2 dice. So they're just going to grab 2 here. They'll grab this and make a 4, but it doesn't matter. It can be any value. And pay 1 time. So they'll move this. I forgot to move the Grim Reaper back from a previous turn. And now what they get to do is move this guy along their track. So they moved him from the space where they secure their story points to the space with a coin on it. So they just go ahead and add a coin to their supply. Okay, so the red player's up. They're going to take these 2 dice, and it's a banner value of 5. Well, they really like a banner value of 6 because they've got all these 6s here. So they'll spend 1 coin. And as we can see from the summary card here, 1 coin to change a value up 1 or down 1. They'll take this value and they'll turn it into a 3. So now, whoops, they've got a banner value of 6. So with the 6, they're going to come over here and take this card and make a stables. So it's going to cost them 2 additional time. So they'll pay that right now, 1, 2, and they're going to get a horse. That's the end of the round, so let's go ahead and grab all the dice, put that together, put a story point onto the starting player hand, and roll all these dice again. Okay, so the blue player remains the starting player. They're going to take this 5, whoops, change the value, it was a 5, and this 6, and claim that for a banner value of 11. They're going to activate this space here for 1 time, and they're going to get 1 coin for that, and also activate this space here to put someone into school. They've lost 2 of their people, and they want to replace that person on a future turn. Okay, the red player would like to add to their church here and start getting more points. So what they're going to do is they're going to take this snake eyes here, make a banner value of 2, and then looking up here at what's available, we can see here's a banner value of 2. So for 2 and a time, so let's go ahead and pay the time, as well as 2 of either a wagon or coins. Well, they don't have a wagon, but actually, you know what? They do have one because they've got a wild card. But they do have 2 coins. So I think instead of spending a wagon and a coin, they're just going to spend the 2 coins. All right, so we'll get rid of these. And each of these monks give you a special 1-time action. So what it says here is that 1 time for a time, rather 1x for a time, you can take the path in the center of your village action. So, and then also we're going to flip this card over. So we'll spend 1 more time, and we're going to move here, and we're going to get one of those coins back. All right, and then lastly, we flip this card over. So we flip it over, and we've extended our church here. So we've now got 2 windows. So with 2 windows, that's 4 points. So this card is effectively worth 2 points to us right now, but as we add more windows to our church, the point value increases. Okay, so the blue player would like to move and finish off their traveling pretty soon, but to be able to do that, they're going to need a horse or a wagon. Well, they've got the capability of producing both of them. Here it's going to take a 5 to produce a horse. Here it's going to take an 8. Well, it's easy for them to be able to make an 8 here with 2 4s or a 6 and a 2, but they'd prefer to make a 5 because then they can activate a few things on their board here. So what they're going to do is they are going to go ahead and be a little risky. They haven't secured these points yet, but they'd like to sort of jump ahead and see if they can get ready to move on the traveling space. So they're going to take this 1 and this 4 and make a 5. So it's going to cost them 2 time. And then with the 5, they're going to activate these spaces. So they're going to get 1 more point here for putting on a play. And then for 2 time, so they'll spend, here we go, 1, 2. They haven't quite killed somebody. They're going to get a beer and a horse. So put the beer here and the horse there. Okay, so the red player is going to take this 10 and add another person to their church. So they will make a 10 pay 1 time. So we'll go ahead and pay that right now. Then they've also got to pay 2 of either horses or coins. Well, they have 1 horse, so they're going to spend that. And they have 1 coin, so together they can afford to pay that cost. Now, this affords them the ability to do 1 action at their school. So in their school here, they've actually got 2 choices. They can either promote this person right now, or they can add another person to this space. I think what they're going to do is they're going to promote somebody. So they're going to spend another time, because it costs a time here to promote them, and they'll bring a councilman back, and they're going to get the 2 story points for doing that. So they put those on their board. Now we finally get to flip this over. So we flip it over, and we've got another window. And then what we can do is we can sort of nicely stack that right here, extending the church, but not taking up too much of our table space. So we've now got 3 windows. So 3 windows, 7 points, plus the 4 for our church, so 11 points there. It's the end of the round, and the blue player is very happy that the red player did not cross this bridge and trigger a death, which most likely would have meant that a rat invasion would happen following that 5 that was rolled. So they're very happy that we grab all of these dice, and they're going to get to take another turn here after we roll them. So let's take a story point, put it on the first player marker, and roll all of the dice as soon as I can grab them. Here we go. Okay, so the blue player starts us off, and the very first thing they'll do is just grab 2 dice. They'll go for the snake eyes, why not? And they are going to activate this space on their board. So it's going to cost them 1 time. So they do cross the bridge, and someone's going to die at the end of this turn. But before that, they get to move. So they are going to move their person from the center space back to the house. They could have moved them down here and picked up 3 more story points, but then they would have been 2 moves away from securing those points. So they move back to the house, so they move all of these points back up here. And I'm going to consolidate these into something that's a little bit taking a little bit less space, but here we can see they've got a total of 7 points they've secured. So that was really important. Otherwise, they would have lost 3 of those points to a rat invasion. Okay, so that was their action on their turn. Now we need to resolve the Grim Reaper. So somebody needs to die, and I think what we'll do is we'll have them kill off the merchant. Okay, so the merchant comes up here, takes this space. We take 2 story points and put them back on the tree. Unfortunately, they don't count as part of the securing action, and then we need to roll the rat die. So a 1 or 2 will prevent the invasion, but that's only a 1/3 chance. Oh, here we go, a 4. Okay, so the rat definitely moves into the space. So rat invasion happens. The blue player has 2 points, so they're gonna have to give up 1 of those points, so they'll get this back. And the red player goes, no, I'm gonna lose points, so they've got 5, so they're gonna lose 2 of these points. Okay, so the red player's up. They're going to take this, actually they'll take a 5 and a 1. So they've got a banner value of 6, and they're gonna do a bunch of stuff with it. So the first thing they'll do is put on a play. So they'll get this extra point there for the 6 here. And then for 3 time, they're gonna produce 3 things. So 1, 2, 3 time, someone's gonna die. Okay, and they're gonna get 1 scroll, 1 plow, and 1 horse. So let's just go ahead and put those down. They can hold up to 3 of each of these in their resources, or in the various storages of the craftsman areas. Okay, someone needs to die. So let's take this, put this back. I think we're gonna kill the craftsman. And it's worth noting that when we kill the craftsman, you won't be able to do any more craftsman actions, but the goods that the craftsmen have created are still usable by you. So if you do want to sell those goods and you've got a merchant there, well, you can still say sell these scrolls to the customers down here because they're just in the warehouse just waiting to be sold. Okay, so we move the craftsman up here, and we're going to get 2 points for that. So we'll take a 2-point marker, put it on the tree, and now the red player's thinking they really need to move back to their house. So then maybe they'll do that on their next turn. Okay, so the blue player is really unhappy that the red player decided to use this 1 on their turn instead of the other ways they could have made a 6 on this board, because now it's not easy for them to be able to make the 7 that they want to make to be able to do their travel action. So the travel action is going to require 2 coins. They've only got 2, so they can't spend 1 of them to change the dice values. So instead, they're going to have to go ahead and do something a little bit different. And I think in this case, we'll see them go ahead and go to this market. So they will... Actually, yes, they can do this. So they're going to make a banner value of 10. Now, even though they don't have a merchant right now, they're still allowed to go to this sort of trading house and claim cards here. But what they can't do is fulfill those cards unless they have their merchant on their board. So they are allowed to come here and spend some time getting cards. So looking at the cards that are available, I think they're definitely going to pick up this one. And we'll also have them pick up this one, because they have both of these crafting houses, and these are both 4s and 10s, so they can potentially fulfill these on the same turn. All right, so we'll just have them take these 2 cards. They could go for more, but 2 cards, 2 time. So 1, 2. So they take these 2 cards. They're going to go ahead and add them as customers to their town. And then afterwards, we just refill this display from the deck that we've got here. Okay, there we are. Okay, so the red player's up, and they're just going to do this little action here, which is to make a banner value of 4. They've got their merchant. They've got a card that can activate with a value of 4, and they've got the requirement for that card, which is one of these scrolls. So they'll pay the scroll, and they will flip this card over. It's worth 4 points to them at the end of the game, so they've currently got 7 points in fulfilled customers. All right, that's the end of the round. We gather up all of these dice here, add a point to the hand. There's 4 points on the hand now, and we re-roll all the dice once more. We keep going until we've got 9 dead people in the central board. And right now, we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 more dead people, and we'll go to final scoring. Okay, so the blue player's up, and now that they've got first pick by being starting player, they are going to take the 3 and the 4, and go ahead and make a value of 7. So with the banner value of 7, they want to go for this E card. So the top card is worth 6, 7, or 8 points. The 7 plus 2 time. So they'll go ahead and pay 1, 2 time. It's also going to cost them 2 coins, which they have right here. So the 2 coins. And lastly, either a horse or a wagon. Well, they can make wagons, but they don't have any, but they do have a horse. So they'll spend that horse. Now they fulfilled the most expensive cost to travel, which is the very last leg. Flip it over, and it's a 6-point card. So there we go. They've completed their travels. The traveler can no longer make it any further, but they've accumulated all of the points that they can. In this case, they actually kind of got an easy travel road because they scored some lower point values. The only extra points they had to get were here, or extra costs they had to pay. So depending on the costs, it sort of self balances. If you had flipped the card over and it would have been the 8-pointer, well, actually you don't incur any more costs. So there's a little bit of luck there, I guess you could say. Okay, the red player is going to take this 5 and a 2 and make a 7. Well, they're not going to be traveling. Instead, what they're going to do is take one of these guys right up here, 7 plus a time plus a scroll. They've got a scroll, so they'll go ahead and spend that. They've got to spend 1 time. The 1-time power of this guy is to give you 2 story points, so we'll go ahead and take those and put them on the tree here. The red player is starting to amass quite a few points here on their tree, but thankfully they see the rat is not in a threatening space at the moment. Okay, so we take this card and we flip it over. The church is getting ever bigger, and we just go ahead and add it there. 4 windows in this church, 10 points, not bad. Okay, so the blue player sees they've only got 2 people left in their village. If both of those guys die at some point, well, they're going to need to take one of these day laborer tokens here, which lets them immediately get another person. But they lose 5 points at the end of the game. They don't want that to happen. So to be able to do that, to be able to rather avoid that, they need to push people through their school. Their school is going to take 3 or an 11 to activate. They'd love to have an 11 because then they can activate their field and get some coins as well. But the dice that are available to them right now are not great. So instead, what we're going to see them do is make a 3 and push someone in their school ahead. So I think what we'll do is we'll promote somebody, and we'll promote somebody to the councilman position, and we'll pay 1 time for that. So they would have loved to have been a little bit more efficient with the 11, but in this case, the 3 was available, so they went for it. Okay, so the red player is thinking they need to secure these points. But again, the rat hasn't moved yet, so they're a little bit safe right now. So I think instead what they're going to do is for the last action of this round, they're going to take the 3 and the 1 and make a banner value of 4 and steal back the first player marker with the 4 points on it. So they take these 4 points and they're going to add it to their tree. So now they've got a huge pile of points that they can secure on a future turn, and they will become the first player. And now it's the end of the round, so we do go ahead and just put a point on this hand, and we go take all the dice and we re-roll them. Okay, now that they are the first player, the red player gets to go immediately again, and they're going to just take these 2 dice, make a banner value of 4, but it really doesn't matter because they're going to activate this space. So any banner value, they pay 1 time, and they're going to move their guy back here, which is going to move all of these points. There's quite a few of them, and they're going to score them. I'm not going to bother counting them up. It's a lot of points. Okay, so the blue player is going to take one of these 3 black dice, triple, a snake with 3 eyes, I guess. All right, banner value of 3. All right, now that they've got their councilman here, which they promoted through the school, they're going to activate one of these special councilman spaces. So I think in this case they're going to select, let's go ahead and have them select this card. All right, so banner value 3, 4 time. So they selected a black die, so they've got to pay 2 time first, then 4 more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. We put this marker there to help us. Someone's going to die at the end of the turn, and we get to flip this over. Okay, so the way that this works is, and we're going to put one of these markers on there because that's part of the cost, is we get to choose one of these 5 spots, and what it tells us is that at the end of the game we're going to get 1 point for each of the cards of that type. So looking at our village here, we've got a lot of green cards. So of course we're going to put this first marker on the green space. This is going to guarantee us that we get 5 points at the end of the game for that. Okay, so if they want on a future turn, a 3 plus a time will allow them to get points for their other types of cards. But for now, we need to resolve the person who's going to die. So I think what we'll do is we're going to probably kill off the Traveler. So the Traveler can't travel anymore, so he's not super useful to the blue player. And it's worth a point, because there's still 1 grave left here. So we'll pick up that story point, put it on the tree. Okay, well, the red player sees an opportunity to push someone through school and make some money, so they're going to get an 11 here. So the 5 and the 6. So for 1 time, they're going to get 2 coins. So they put these on their little bank space here. Try not to knock over their dude. Okay, and also the 11 will allow them to activate their school, so they will put somebody into school. Okay, well, the blue player doesn't really like the look of the last remaining dice, but they've lost the starting player marker in the previous round, and so they just have to deal with it. They have to deal with the scraps. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to take these 2 dice, making a value of 5, and they're going to have to pay 2 time for that black die. And with the 5, they're going to activate these spaces on their board. So they will spend, let's see, 2 more time, 1, 2, to make a beer and a horse. So we'll have them put these markers down here. And they will also get a story point because they put on a play. So we'll grab that over here. Okay, it's the end of the round already, so we're going to take a point and put it here, gather all of the dice, and roll them once more. Well, let's get them all here. Okay, so the red player is going to take this 6 and this 5 and make a banner value of 11. Before they do that, they pay for the black die, 2. All right, with the 11, they're going to spend 1 more time and get 2 more coins. Okay, so they've got 2 coins, and they're going to push someone through school. So I think what they'll do is they'll go ahead and spend this person spending 1 more time, and they brought the craftsman back, and now we know that at the end of that turn, they're going to need to kill them off. So let's go ahead and have them kill the craftsman immediately. So this was a short-lived person. So we'll put the craftsman up here in that last spot there. That's going to get them 1 story point. We're going to need to roll this rat die right here. A 5, another high value. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That rat's moving quite a bit in this game. And now we can also go ahead and count the available spaces here. Let's just make sure we're not at 9, and we can see that we're at 8. So 1 more person who dies is going to trigger the end of the game. Okay, so the blue player's in a little bit of a bind. They can't sell anything right now, and we're approaching the end of the game because they don't have a merchant. And some of these dice values aren't super beneficial to them at the moment. They can certainly craft more things, but crafted goods aren't valuable to them at the end of the game. They're just good for tiebreakers. So they're trying to find ways to score points because we're almost at the end, and there really aren't very many good options for them based on these dice. They don't have any gold, so they can't change these dice values at all. So really, they're kind of a little bit stuck. So they're just going to grab 2 dice. We'll have them grab these 2 right here, and they're going to activate this space, get a coin, which will give them some flexibility on a future turn, and pay a time. Now, just in case I don't have time to cover it in this game, each player is capable of acquiring these meeting places during the game with their councilman actions. And the meeting places give them flexibility. They are allowed to place this special 2 or 12 chit next to any of their white banners and increase what dice values are able to activate it, what banner values. But also, the black markers I put on this meeting place, let's just flip it over since they're all the same. We can see here by my thumb that it allows you to change a dice to any value that you want if you consume one of your black markers there. So In this case, neither of the players went for the flexibility that those meeting places provided. And now at the end of the game here, the blue player is kicking himself or herself, wishing that they had made a meeting place, especially since they have a councilman here. All right. That was the blue player's turn. They're hoping they get a few more turns before somebody dies, but they see that their own person is probably the next one who's going to die and trigger the end of the game. Okay, the red player is up, and they're going to take this 2 and a 3, and they want to add windows to their church. They've already got 4 of them, but if they can get 5, and maybe even 6 before the end of the game, they're going to get quite a few more points. So the banner value 5 is going to let them come up here and take this very valuable monk. This monk, 5 plus a time, so let's go ahead and spend that 1 time, plus 3 resources, which can be mixed between coins and crafted goods. So in this case, let's say that they go ahead and spend 1 of their plows, so that's 1, and we'll also have them spend 2 of their gold. Okay, so they paid all of the costs. The special ability of this card is 2 actions at their school. So what they'll do here is they'll take one of the markers, they'll put somebody into school, and then I think they'll just immediately promote them, and let's promote them into a craftsman position. So we spend 1 time to do that, so we pay that. Okay, so the double action, let them put someone in school and promote them immediately. They've got a new craftsman. Then we flip this card over, and we add it to our church here. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 windows. Okay, we're back to blue, and they're looking around. They can't see very many opportunities to be able to secure points before somebody dies. They'd like to be able to come over here and activate this space, but there's no way they can make a 3, even with this 1 coin, because the values have to be exact, the sum of the 2 dice. So instead, they're going to activate their center action 1 more time. So they'll go ahead and grab 2 dice. They'll grab this 8 here, and they're going to move right back. They need to spend 1 time to do that, but now they get to secure these 3 points here. So 3 points is the best move that they can make in that case, because anything left on your tree doesn't score. And they see that the red player is quickly amassing points because they can, with their last few turns, so they want to stop that before the end game scoring. So that was blue's turn. Okay, so we're already at the end of that round, and we're probably moving into the final round here. We add 1 more thing to this, and we grab all the dice. If I can not mess them up, there we go. Grab them all, and roll them. Okay, so the red player starts us off. They've got the starting player. They're going to take a 6 and a 6, make a banner value of 12, come up here and grab this guy here. He costs the 12, a time, and a scroll. All right, so let's pay the time. We've paid the 12. We don't have scrolls. Well, it's all right, because this space here gives us a wild card resource. We'll say that it's a scroll, and now we've paid the cost here. The bonus action is we get to do 1 movement here, so let's go ahead and move on this track. We do have to pay the time for that, so 1 time. We're going to get the coin for moving on to that space, and then we flip this over. So the red player has completed their church. They can't add more than 6 windows to their church. This is a huge church, and everybody maybe travels from across the land to come and see it and just sort of revel in its size. So the red player is very happy. They're going to pick up the 20 points from having 6 windows in their church. So the blue player is a little worried about that last move from the red player. They know they need to pick up points. They've been falling behind in point scoring in the last few turns. So anything that they can grab at, I think they're going to go for these dice here, make a value of 3, spend 1 time that it costs to activate this space here. And that's going to allow them to put a marker down here. And I think what they'll do is they'll put a marker on the craftsman space. They've got 3 cards there, so that's worth 3 points to them for that move. Additionally, they can activate this space here, so they might as well do it. They'll put someone in the school. It may not benefit them because we're about to kill somebody off. So we know that the Grim Reaper needs to kill someone. And in this case, let's have it kill the councilman. The blue player probably doesn't have any more time to place someone here. And actually, you know what? Does that make sense? Yeah, it does. Okay, so we look up here at this board. The councilman space is full. So this player is going to take the first unnamed grave space here. So we can see these are just numbered 1 through 12. And that's just there to help us count how many people are in the graveyards. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 3 is 8, plus this last guy makes 9. In a 2-player game, 9 dead people trigger it the end of the game. So that means that this round, meaning the selection of all of the dice, will be the last one. So each player is going to get 1 more turn, and then we're going to proceed to final scoring. Well, of course, before we do that, we have to roll the rat die as usual, and we got a 1. So the rat does not create a rat infestation in the towns, but it wouldn't have been too impactful anyway, because the red player only has 1 story point, which they would not have lost, and the blue player has 0. Okay, so the red player is scouring their board, trying to see what possibilities there are to get points at the end of the game, and they don't see too many options here. So I think what they're going to do here is they could either claim this story point by activating this and moving back here, but that's 1 point. They could also come up here and build a meeting place. We can see here that the meeting place is worth 2 points at the end of the game to them. Well, it takes a 2 or a 12 to activate the meeting place. If we look at the dice here, the options aren't great for making a 2 or a 12 if it comes to using just the white dice. But if we use a white die and a black die and then pay 1 coin to turn this into a 1, well, we can make a 2. So with a banner value of 2, the red player pays 2 time for that black die, and then they can come up here and activate this guy. They've still got their councilman here. So for a 2 plus 2 more time, 1, 2, they get to flip this card over, and they perform all of these special actions here. Basically, they get to place one of these 2 or 12 chits. They get to get 1 extra story point, flip the card over, and place a marker on it. So it's not going to be super beneficial because it's so late game to get this card, but they can place it next to any one of these. For example, if they had placed it here, they could activate their school with a 2, 3, 11, or 12. They could have also placed it here and activated their farm with a 2, 11, or 12. All right, so let's just say they placed it on the farm. They also get the story point. They won't have time to basically move it to their house, so it's kind of wasted. And they also put a marker here, which lets them change dice to any value that they want, not just up 1 or down 1. However, this was their last turn, so again, not super useful in terms of the flexibility, but it's 2 points versus 1 point, so that was the best move they could make. So for their last turn, the blue player also doesn't see great opportunities to pull in some last second point scoring. You know, they probably are wishing that they hadn't killed their merchant early or had replaced them earlier so that they could have got these cards out. They claimed them and then never scored them, and they would have been worth quite a few points, 8 points. So that's unfortunate. You could chalk that up to bad play by me, but let's go ahead and have them do something here. And what they can do is try to claim another craftsman card and get 1 more point for their craftsman. So their options here are to make a 6 or a 7, or to include these dice here, and it probably doesn't matter at this point whether or not they include those. So 6s, 5s, and 8s. So right now they've got a Wainwright, a Stables, and a Brewery, so they can choose from the office. So let's have them do that. So they take this 6, so they would have activated a banner value of 6 here, and 2 time, so we'll pay 1, 2 time, and then we flip it over. We add a marker here, they have a scroll, okay? But really what this does for them on the last turn is just eke out 1 extra point from this card here. Okay, so that was the end of this round where we've got 9 people in the graveyard, which means that the game is at its end and we are going to do final scoring. All right, so it's time to tally up the scores. And to be able to do that, we can take a look at the back side of the instructions for the game. We can see that at the end of the game, what we're going to do is we're going to score the church area, followed by the council, the harvest, the travel, our served customers, and a few other things. So let's just go ahead and get started. So in the church area, the red player has got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows plus 4 points. So 6 windows plus the 4 points is 24 points. Looking over at the blue player, they've got no points here in the church. Next, we look at the council area, and we can see that the red player has 2 buildings worth a total of 4 points. And then we can zoom over here to the blue player, and we see that they've got this special building, which gives them points based on the number of cards that they have of a certain type. So they've activated the orange cards, which are the cards for the craftsman area, and the green cards, which are the travelers. So total, they have 9 points. Next, we take a look at the harvest areas. We see each player has 1 harvest area. Those are each worth 1 point. So they're balanced there. And then we take a look at the travel areas. The red player has no travel points, where the blue player has a whole bunch of them. So here we can see they've got 6 plus 10 is 16, plus another 6 is going to give them 22 points in travel. Next, we're going to look at the customers and which blue buildings were completed. And we can see that the red player has completed 2 buildings worth 7 points, or rather 2 customers. And unfortunately, the blue player never got to complete these, and they're ruining that, so they've missed out on a total of 8 points. Next, we take a look at the number of story points that have been stored or saved, and we can see here that these 2 were not saved, but these 12 for the red player were. So 12 points for red, and then over here we've got a total of 10 points for the blue player. After that, we can take a look at, does anybody lose points for day laborers? So we just take a look at this here, and neither player had to take a day laborer, so no lost points there. Lastly, whoever has the starting player hand is going to get 1 point at the end of the game, and that is the red player. So we'll tally up the scores. Okay, so after the final tally, we can see here that red has scored 49 points to the 43 of blue. Those 0 points in the customers in the market area really hurt blue's ability to win the game, but that is 1 full playthrough of My Village for 2 players. And I hope that this demonstration of how the game works is useful to you in deciding whether or not this is a game for you. And for me, I find the game pretty enjoyable. I mean, I'm a fan of Village. I have both expansions for that game, so it's no surprise that I also like this game. It definitely takes a little bit of time to wrap your head around just all the things you're looking at, but really, I mean, the game comes down to choose dice, use them on banners. And banners have additional costs to them, and they give you stuff. Not that complicated. The visual presentation of it is very well distilled down to the basics of what's needed, and all of the graphics for the game are very nice to look at in person. This is the same artist from Village, Dennis Lohausen, so he reprises his renderings from the original game, and it's got a very similar look to that game. We've even got the same color meeples and the same shape from Village, but overall this one's kind of its own thing. It's not really Village the dice game. I mean, it's build your village. So I think the title My Village is very, very correct for this game. Between the two games, I think the original Village gives you a little bit more feeling of storytelling than My Village does, but My Village presents your story a little bit more visually than the original game does. So while you feel the story of your family in Village, and here you see and can kind of visualize your town, because instead of taking control of a family, you're controlling your village here. So I think those are the differences between the games. And so if you like what you see, and if you like sort of building out your own little tableau to look at the end of the game, then this might be a version of Village that's just for you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So whatever future titles Inka and Markus Brand are going to put out together, the husband and wife design team, I'm certainly interested. Murano was really fun, and as well, which is another title of theirs. So just a good game, fun. Roll some dice, select them, activate things, make your village better. It's a cool game. So anyway, I hope this video was helpful to you in deciding if this is a game for you, and thank you very much.